In the celestial realms, there was an angel named Azrael who had a bit of a reputation problem. Azrael was once a revered and respected celestial being, responsible for guiding souls to the afterlife. However, a series of mishaps involving misplaced wings, misdirected prayers, and a particularly embarrassing incident at the Heavenly Choir Olympics had left Azrael in a state of disgrace. Furious at his fall from grace, Azrael harbored a deep resentment for humans. He couldn't understand their fascination with things like pizza, reality TV, and social media. He despised their constant need for validation and their penchant for creating chaos over the most trivial matters. In his eyes, humans were messy, unpredictable, and utterly beneath the celestial elegance of angels. The archangels, tired of Azrael's constant complaints and grumbling, decided it was time for him to learn a lesson. They huddled in the divine conference room, debating the best way to humble their disgraced comrade. "It's simple," declared Gabriel, the messenger angel with a mischievous twinkle in his eye. "Let's send him down to earth and make him live among humans. Perhaps a taste of mortal life will soften his disdain." The other archangels exchanged glances and nodded in agreement. Thus, Azrael found himself plummeting from the heavens, his once glorious wings now reduced to a pitiful pair of fluffy clouds stuck to his back. As he landed in a small suburban town, Azrael couldn't help but curse his celestial colleagues for this undignified punishment. Wandering the streets in a celestial daze, Azrael was immediately confronted with the perplexing nature of human existence. The smell of fried food wafted through the air, and the distant sound of a car alarm blared in the background. People hurried past him, oblivious to the celestial being in their midst. To make matters worse, Azrael soon realized that his divine powers were severely limited in the mortal realm. No longer able to summon heavenly light or manipulate time, he found himself at the mercy of mundane inconveniences. When he attempted to hail a taxi, the driver simply rolled down the window and told him, "Sorry, buddy, cash only." Azrael's first taste of earthly life was a job at a fast food restaurant, flipping burgers, and attempting to master the art of small talk with the human employees. He quickly discovered that flipping burgers was not exactly a task suited for someone accustomed to orchestrating the movements of celestial bodies. One day, while attempting to master the drive-through microphone, Azrael unintentionally caused a traffic jam. Cars piled up behind the confused customers, who couldn't comprehend the strange celestial language emanating from the speaker. As horns blared and frustrated drivers shouted obscenities, Azrael felt a pang of guilt. Maybe humans weren't as simple as he had initially thought. Perhaps there was more to their existence than he had given them credit for. Despite his initial distaste for the human world, Azrael soon found himself entangled in the absurdities of mortal life. He attended a local yoga class, attempting to find solace in downward-facing dog poses. However, his celestial clumsiness turned the serene atmosphere into a chaotic mess of tangled limbs and confused yoga instructors. To add to the hilarity, Azrael inadvertently joined a community theater group, thinking it was a gathering of wise philosophers. He struggled through awkward auditions and befuddled rehearsals, much to the amusement of the human actors who couldn't fathom his celestial cluelessness. As he stumbled through this new, earthly existence, Azrael began to notice the kindness and resilience that humans possessed. He witnessed people helping each other in times of need, expressing love in various forms, and finding joy in the simplest of pleasures. The more he observed, the more he realized that there was a beauty in their imperfections. One day, while walking through a park, Azrael encountered a group of children playing with bubbles. Intrigued by the shimmering orbs, he couldn't resist joining in the fun. As he blew celestial bubbles that sparkled with otherworldly hues, the children laughed in delight, completely oblivious to the angel in their midst. In that moment, Azrael felt a warmth he had never experienced before. The laughter of the children echoed in his celestial heart, melting away the bitterness that had consumed him for so long. He began to understand that despite their flaws and quirks, humans possessed a unique magic that made life on Earth truly special. Azrael's transformation from a disgraced angel to a celestial comedian was complete. No longer resentful of the human race, he embraced the absurdity of mortal life and found joy in the everyday moments that had once eluded him. Word of Azrael's newfound sense of humor spread, and soon he became a beloved figure in the small town he now called home. People would gather at the local coffee shop to hear his celestial tales and laugh at the cosmic mishaps that had once plagued him. Azrael had unwittingly become the town's celestial stand-up comedian, sharing his unique perspective on life in the most charming and hilarious way. And so, in a twist of divine irony, Azrael, the disgraced angel who once despised humans, had found redemption and a new purpose among the very beings he had once dismissed. As he continued to navigate the quirks of earthly existence, Azrael learned that sometimes, the best way to find the divine in life was to embrace the hilarity of being human.
In the whimsical town of Verona, there were two households, both alike in indignity, where ancient grudges had mutated into outright hatred. In the midst of this absurd feud, two star-crossed individuals, Romeo and Juliet, found themselves trapped in a comedy of errors. Romeo, a lanky young man with a penchant for bad poetry, was the heir to the Montague family. His days were spent trying to outdo his rival, Tybalt, in a series of increasingly ridiculous challenges. Meanwhile, Juliet, a sharp-witted and fiercely independent woman, was the pride of the Capulet clan. She had no time for the silly posturing and drama that consumed the Montagues. The townsfolk marveled at the extent of the family's disdain for each other, as each attempted to outdo the other in a never-ending cycle of one-upmanship. It was not unusual to see Romeo and Tybalt engaged in absurd duels over the silliest of disputes, such as who could eat the most spaghetti without using their hands, or who could recite the alphabet backward faster. One day, in the midst of the town's annual cheese-rolling festival, Romeo and Juliet's paths collided in the most unexpected way. As they both reached for the same wheel of cheese, their eyes locked in a moment of pure disdain. Instead of the usual love-struck gazes, there were eye rolls and exasperated sighs. "Ugh, Montague, could you be any more annoying?" Juliet exclaimed, attempting to tug the cheese away. "Oh, please, Capulet, your mere presence diminishes the intelligence of the entire town," Romeo shot back, refusing to let go. Their grip on the cheese resulted in a chaotic tug-of-war, sending them rolling down the hill in a cascade of laughter from the bewildered spectators. Covered in cheese and humiliation, Romeo and Juliet found themselves entangled in a mess of dairy-induced absurdity. As they lay there, catching their breath amidst the scattered cheese wheels, something shifted. For the first time, they did not see each other as members of rival households. Instead, they saw the sheer ridiculousness of their family's feud. Romeo, with a cheesy grin, offered his hand to Juliet. "I suppose this means we're both a bit crackers, doesn't it?" Juliet, unable to contain her laughter, accepted his hand. "Maybe we should start a cheese club and declare peace." And so, the Montague Capulet Cheese Club was born, much to the bafflement of their families. Romeo and Juliet, once sworn enemies, became the town's comedic duo, hosting cheese-themed events that united the previously feuding households in laughter. Their newfound camaraderie extended beyond cheese-related shenanigans. They collaborated on pranks, turning Verona into a playground of absurdity. From putting rubber chickens in each other's mailboxes to releasing a horde of quacking ducks during the annual town parade, Romeo and Juliet reveled in the joy of outwitting their families. The Montagues and Capulets were utterly baffled by the sudden change in dynamics. Instead of the traditional hostilities, they found themselves caught in the crossfire of an escalating prank war between the once hated rivals. The town, however, couldn't get enough of the hilarious antics. One day, Romeo and Juliet devised the ultimate plan to end the absurd feud. They organized a surprise joint party, inviting members from both families under the guise of a most outrageous hat competition. Little did the guests know that the hats were rigged with squirting flowers, confetti cannons, and hidden whoopee cushions. As the party reached its peak, Romeo and Juliet stood side by side, wearing the most outrageous hats of all, a giant cheese wheel adorned with sparklers and a towering tower of spaghetti, respectively. "Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you the true meaning of foolishness and fun," Juliet announced, as the crowd erupted in laughter. The Montagues and Capulets, momentarily distracted by the absurdity of the situation, found themselves caught in a frenzy of laughter and camaraderie. The once vicious feud had been replaced by a shared love for the ridiculous. In the midst of the chaos, Romeo and Juliet seized the opportunity to make a heartfelt announcement. Enough with the senseless hatred. It's time we embrace the laughter and absurdity that life has to offer. From this day forward, let's put an end to the feud and celebrate the silliness that binds us all. The townsfolk, still recovering from the onslaught of party pranks, slowly let go of their long-held grudges. The absurdity of the situation had cracked the facade of animosity, leaving behind a town ready to embrace a new era of laughter and camaraderie. Romeo and Juliet, having successfully transformed their family's feud into a town-wide celebration of the absurd, stood at the center of the chaos with grins on their faces. No longer star-crossed lovers, but partners in comedy, they reveled in the joy of a Verona united by laughter. The once hated Romeo and Juliet became legends in the town of Verona, not for their tragic love story, but for their ability to turn absurdity into harmony. The Montagues and Capulets, now bonded by shared memories of laughter and cheese-related escapades, lived happily ever after in a town where the only feud was over who could tell the silliest joke.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to see more of our original stories, then please like and subscribe, and share and leave comments.